Allow me to indulge in some more double posting because I really want to talk about this game, AEW Fight Forever. This game is a wrestling game, but it can technically also be considered a fighting game because it does what it does pretty well, I would say. It's fun, it's interactive, you're having fun playing the game, and the game isn't simulation based like you have your WWE games nowadays. This game is purely based on arcade fun, the things that you would probably have played on the N64 at some point, or other means, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that the game is fun. When you go into a match and you beat your opponent, or when the opponent beats you, everything is fun, everything is nicely done. It feels very responsive, it feels very nice to play. But there's a bit of a problem. The game isn't worth its price, and it's supposed to be like $60, $70 for the Elite Edition, if I am correct. Yes. Now I see it has like a discount of 13%, so it's like 52.19 euros, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that it's not worth the money. It's too much, especially on a full price. If you can get this discounted for like $10 or $15, I would recommend it. But $60 for this game? Maybe if it was 20 or 30, I would have got that. But $60 is a little bit steep. It's a little bit too much. Scratch that. It's not a little bit. It is too much. It is too steep. And let me tell you why. Wrestling games have this nice ability to create your own wrestler. And you would expect that this feature is something that's very well constructed and done. And you have multiple options to create your own wrestler that is yours. There aren't two like it in the world. Except AEW Fight Forever's create a wrestler options are limited. Limited so much, it's almost ridiculous in how few they are out there. There is so little. You can't make a proper wrestler what you have there. The moves are interesting when you make your wrestler. At least they got that part right. But no. The creating part is just way too small. You can't even make a proper character out of it. Like, if I remember right, the female characters have like 4 faces. 4 faces, yes. The male characters have the option, of course, of copying Kenny Omega's hairstyle, but that's about it. There are other options, but a bunch of them suck. And again, it's too few. It gives you way too little options when it comes to creating your own wrestler, to creating your own personal, self-insert. It's just not there. The ability to create stuff isn't as it should be. It's so limited. I think even Wrestling Revolution 3D has a better creating system than this. And that's one game created by a guy named M. Dickey, or Mech Dickey. What can you expect? Let's talk about the other point. It's mostly an exhibition match game. I say that because usually in a wrestling game, you have a story mode. And the story mode is called Road to Elite. The problem is that, you see, Road to Elite isn't that satisfying of a story mode. Now, I'm not saying there are better story modes out there. Some of them are worse when it comes to wrestling games. But this one sucks. No, don't get me wrong. They use footage from important moments in AEW history. The formation of Death Triangle. The unveiling of the FTW World Championship. What was it again? The betrayal, the formation of the Pinnacle. Yeah, I forgot about that. They have all these interesting moments put in there, and it's nice to see them in the game. It's nice to experience them a little, because you get to experience them. You even get the opportunity to become the first AEW World Champion, and that's nice. It's nice what they give you, but the problem is that it's so limited, the paths are so small and so few in numbers that doesn't really feel that engaging. Yeah, sure, it's fun to take Penta and become AEW champion with him, or tag team champion with him, or do the Who's Ribbing Me storyline that I got twice. I hate that one. Anyway, But it's limiting. You don't even have to spend 1 day on it. I don't think you need to spend 10 hours to see like all of them. Sure, now, excuse me. Some of them are harder to get. For example, like Join the Dark Order, which is an interesting storyline where you get to join a group of miscreants and beat their boss. You know what? I like that. That's an interesting thing. But it's a little bit more complicated to get, and you'll probably be stuck doing the same storylines over and over. The Inner Circle breaks out, Death Triangle, and whatever. You're not gonna see that much variety, and that hurts it. Because the road to Elite is weak. Overall, it's weak. There are like 4 chapters. We're gonna, technically 5 if you put the prologue, but we're gonna exclude the prologue because it's the same as the Casino Battle Royale. So you have like 4 chapters, which are split into 3 different routes. And then you might think, oh, there's like 12 instances to go through. Except that many of them will be similar and you're gonna go through them a lot. See, that's an annoying thing here. Just doesn't offer enough bang for the buck, if you get my drift. And that's not the only problem. You see, if that was the whole story mode, I might have been just like, sure, whatever. The problem is that this game lacks one of the most important features, in my opinion and many others, when it comes to a wrestling game. And that's the GM mode. The ability to make your own shows, to book your own cards, to make your own champions, to do things how you would see them. Fantasy booking. The same way some people might play fantasy football. It lacks that, and without that, the game just becomes boring, because what you have without that is this: replaying the Road to Elite, which if you've done it twice or thrice, it just gets boring after that. Do exhibition matches, which are fun, especially those like the exploding barbed wire death match, whatever. That's pretty fun. You know what's not fun instead? That you're limited to this. Oh, you also have the online option. You also have the ranked option to play online. Because that's why I say they treat it like a fighting game. But even Street Fighter V with its, I want to say limited story, because you know what, Street Fighter V at least tried with its story. It didn't go that far, but you know what, at least it did something good. You had the whole huge campaign to do with, and then you had little tiny stories that are individually split between each character. And that, you know, it built up to something. Street Fighter V is a good example of how to go on the right direction when it comes to a fighting game. AEW Fight Forever isn't. Because the options are so limited for single player, it's laughable. Now you might say, oh, but this is made for online games and couch co-op, which is fun and all. It really is. And there are games that can survive on this model, that can work on this model. Remember that some years ago, Magica was a big thing. Same as Castle Crushers, in fact. There are many games like this that can be played together and it works well. The problem with AEW Fight Forever is that it's just not worth it. Yeah, sure, the game is arcadey and fun, and it might be the best thing we have on the market that's not the WWE game, but it's limited. Let's make a comparison, okay? Castle Crusher is $11 without discounts. Battle Block Theater is $15 without discounts, or euros in this case. Magica 1 is 10 euros. Magica 2 is 14. The complete collection for Magica 2 is 42 euros or 43. You see where I'm going with this? They're co-op games. They're very nice to play together. You can also play them by yourself. The problem is that they're asking way too much. $60 is way too much for this game that is just bare bones and that's it. Let's also not talk about the roster and how they include the roster from 2021, 2022, which isn't as modern, as updated as it should be. And the most perplexing thing to me, at least, is that people can just take it. You see, when Ubisoft or EA or Blizzard does something stupid like this, everybody complains. Of course, everybody buys it, but that's a different story. But with this one is kept alive by AEW fans that can see no harm in their favorite company. And it's a little bit weird when you look at it, because you're paying $60 for a game that is so bare bones is not worth the money. Though people will try and defend it to the best of their abilities just so they can have some sense of pride there. But it's not enough. It's an unfinished product sold at the price of unfinished product. And yeah, we know this has been the whole spiel in gaming lately. It shouldn't be like this. We don't have to live like this. We don't have to pay like this. We don't have to take it like this. At the end of the day, we should fight against such practices by not buying their stuff. Then again, of course, the question happens. How do you know if they do this if you don't buy it? Because the developers and the company and the wrestlers, in this case, won't tell you the game is an unfinished mess. No. Then I guess the best option is just be very careful what we buy from here on out. But that's always a problem. Like I've mentioned with Activision, Blizzard, EA, Ubisoft, boycotts never last because many people are unwilling to go after the shiny new thing that's out there. And I'm saying this, AEW Fight Forever has the potential to be a good game. And it's not the only thing that this applies to it. It has good music. Licensed music, frankly enough, and the music of the wrestlers. You also have the whole arcade feel to it, which is something new, and it's a breath of fresh air in this world where the biggest wrestling franchise when it comes to games has given up on the Arcadian fun feel to go more on the simulation route. It's good to have those, but it's not good to sell a bare bone product to people. It's not good to ask for $60 just because. Why not? Let's do that because it's worth it. It's not. I understand that maybe they plan to keep it updated in the future, so there will be progressive updates that come out, which I might touch on stories like MJF versus CM Punk, the Elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club. It might go there, but initially for $16, it's way too much for way too little. Now the problem with this updates in the future, they don't plan to have it an yearly release like WWE games or FIFA or NFL or NBA or UFC, I think. I don't know about UFC at this point. They don't plan to do that, which is interesting. But I'm here to tell you that be careful because those updates might cost real money. It might just be DLC on top of DLC on top of DLC until you reach a point where it's like Crusader Kings 2 or that stupid train simulator that's like, what, 3,000 euros or something like that. Something stupid like that. It's just not a good model, and it's not something we should encourage. Not out of any gaming company and not out of AEW and their game division and market. Because when we look at their track record, it's only been mobile games, which suck, let's be honest, and this, which is bare bones and it's not worth its current price. It's just not worth it. And we shouldn't take this standing. We don't need to live like this. That's the most funny part. We don't have to live like this. It's not normal to be scammed out of your money for the newest game out there. It's not normal. We shouldn't accept this. And AEW Fight Forever is just another block in the gaming industry and all its failings. All its failings are there, and AEW is part of it with this. Overall, the game has potential. It has some good aspects that it can really build off from, but it's not worth the price. It's $30 too much, 30 euros too much. It's not worth it. And in my opinion, I don't recommend it. If you can find it at a discount, again, 10, 15, maybe 20 at most, buy it then, but don't buy it now. And if the updates come and they're not going to be DLC on top of DLC, and then it might just be worth the $60. But I am a skeptic and I doubt that will be the case.